ado, welcome to my channel. So as you can see, I am not your professional up-and-coming YouTuber gal. I'm kind of just doing this for fun, and I do love just making videos and talking and filming stuff, so I figure, hey, why not start a YouTube channel? And I've been wanting to make one for a long time now, and I got inspired today because I was watching Orion, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, Orion Carlotos, I don't know. I was watching her channel and she has this section called Book Corner where she talks about books that she reads and books that she recommends, blah blah blah. And you know what? I thought, hey, why not make a video of all the books that I have read in March. I was thinking about this for a while now, but then today I was like, okay, let's just do it. So I'm doing it. And I honestly don't know how this is gonna go. I hope it goes well. Shout out to my English teacher, Miss Boggs, who told me that I should start this thing. It was kind of more of a joke, but like, I was like, yeah, this is a good idea. Because I was talking to her about the books that I had, because one time I came to her class and I had like maybe 5 books. And I was explaining to her what all of them were. So why not explain to you what all of them are? And let's get started. Right, so okay, the first book I have is The Shining by Stephen King. I don't know why I struggled to I know what this book is. Anyway, I got this for Christmas because my friend Kate bought it for me after I put it on my Amazon wish list. Shout out to you, Kate. Honestly, the real MVP. So yeah, this is, wow, okay. So I watched the movie a long time ago and I really liked it. And I didn't really think to read the book until sometime after. So let's read the back.
Jack Torrance's new job at the Overlook Hotel is the perfect chance for a fresh start. As the off-season caretaker at the atmospheric old hotel, he'll have plenty of time to spend reconnecting with his family and working on his writing. But as the harsh winter weather sets in, the idyllic location feels ever more remote and more sinister. And the only one to notice the strange and terrible forces gathering around the Overlook is Danny Torrance, a uniquely gifted 5-year-old.
I'm pretty sure everybody kind of knows the gist of this novel or the movie, either one. This is your average run-of-the-mill guy goes crazy book. This is an exaggeration of cabin fever. Maybe not an exaggeration, because cases like these have happened in real life, maybe minus the telekinetic son. Is it telekinetic or is he's kind of a psychic. This is actually a pretty realistic book because these things could happen in real life. Whether or not you believe in, you know, psychic intuition, blah blah blah, like just the idea of someone reaching their breaking point and the horrors being served up front is pretty realistic, and that's what makes it a scary book or a scary movie. So Jack Torrance, he goes crazy, and in King's perspective, he was already crazy. The Overlook Hotel made him reach his breaking point, but it wasn't the hotel that brought the crazy out, you know? He was already kind of like that because he was an alcoholic, he had an abusive father, all this stuff, and it plays a big role in this book and why Jack is exactly the way that he is, and the reflections of father and son, which just makes it, ooh, that makes it really creepy. Anyway, it's a great read, and there's so many themes interlocked in it. It wasn't hard for me to read it, but like, it is a complex book. There's a lot of stuff mixed in there that will not be exactly pleasing to anybody, but it is very realistic, and it is, makes you really think. It's more of a psychological thing than a horror, and I loved it. I wasn't exactly scared while reading, which did disappoint me because I wanted to be scared because, you know, it's Stephen King, master of horror, and I wasn't scared, but I feel like it's when you think about it deep down inside, like when you think about, like I was saying, father and son, you know, reaching your breaking point, that's when it gets all too real and it gets very scary. So it's not exactly the book, but it's the thought that the book generates in your mind. Next is Witches and Witch Hunts, A History of Persecution by Milton Meltzer, which I got this from my school library. I'm pretty sure it's very overdue, and I don't care. So, in this fascinating, thought-provoking book, master historian Milton Meltzer examines witch hunts from around the world, from 15th century France to Salem, Massachusetts in 1692, from Adolf Hitler to Joseph McCarthy. Devastating witch hunts were fed by superstition and have threatened societies with their hysteria. Here is a book that presents the truth behind the frenzy, taking an engaging yet sobering look at prejudice, discrimination, and murder practice in the name of the betterment of society. This is a very intriguing note. I love reading about this stuff and learning about this stuff, so this already, you know, grabbed my attention. But when you read, I don't think I have read this part, and when you read it, it's like, okay, even if I'm not into this stuff, I kind of want to read it now, because this stuff is really just fascinating. You know, people don't think that witches are real and stuff, and they think that they're like fairy tales and whatnot. They're real, okay? And not all these women were witches, and which is what makes it so like terrifying, because they did get persecuted and they did get burned and, like, you know, stoned and whatnot, and like these horrible things. Even if they didn't do them, some of the time it was just basically hysteria, and based on ignorance about health and stuff. Like, if someone was having a seizure, you might think that it was the devil possessing them, and then it was the root of witchcraft, blah blah blah. So it was kind of just more based on ignorance and hysteria than actual knowledge about witchcraft and what it is. This book is a collection of like folk tales and straight facts. It's nonfiction, but you read it as a fiction book, in my opinion, which I really appreciate, because I can't really read nonfiction and I get bored at most times. But this is a very interesting take on the history. I feel like a third grader could read this. It is a heavy subject for some, but why not educate yourself at any age, honestly? And that's not like an insult to the book. I like that it's very simple and it's not very complex, and you can still write like a history paper on it, you know? So I love it. You should love it too, and you should get it. Next is Psycho by Robert Bloch.
Robert Bloch's Psycho captivated a nation when it appeared in 1959. The story was all too real. Indeed, this classic was inspired by the real-life story of Ed Gein, a psychotic murderer who led a dual life. Alfred Hitchcock, too, was captivated, and turned the book into one of the most loved classic films of all time the year after it was released. Norman Bates loves his mother. The trouble is, she's been dead for the past 20 years, or so people think. Norman knows better, though. Ever since leaving the hospital, he has lived with Mother in the old house up on the hill above the Bates Motel. One night, a beautiful woman checks into the motel, and Norman spies on her while she is undressing. Mother is watching him, though. She is there to protect Norman from his filthy thoughts. She is there to protect him with her butcher knife.
That just gets me every time. It's not funny, but like, it is. Obviously, this is the book version of Alfred Hitchcock's adaptation, and up here it says, it's a quote by Alfred, it says, "Psycho all came from Robert Bloch's book." What do you know? Let's just speak on this. I know people who have never heard of this movie, which really strikes me, because how do you not know the iconic shower scene? Like, everybody knows that, and like, everybody knows that. So it really disappoints me when I see people who like don't know this work of art. It's also a very quick and easy read. It's only 175 pages, so I was able to finish it in a really short amount of time. But this is you are getting many points of view if you catch my drift. Things happen fast, but they're not jammed in, which I appreciate. I like when a story is short, kind of brief, but then there's a lot of stuff happening, but it's not clumped in, which is kind of what happens in this book, and I appreciate that, because that makes me know
How to, as a writer, make my plots, I guess, shorter and less unnecessarily long, so I don't have to cut like 200 pages from a 500-page book, which didn't need to be 500 pages, but it was because I elongated it for whatever reason.
If that makes sense. It probably doesn't. Anyway, Norman is very disturbed, and you almost feel sympathy for him when the book explains why. I just think it's very interesting to get his take on it. I don't really have a set opinion on this book. I do like it. It draws you in, and how can you not read it after reading She's There to Protect Him with Her Butcher Knife? Like, why would you not want to read a book like that? So the next book I read is We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach.
This cover, oh my god, okay, this cover, like, I love that cover so much, and then the back, look at that, beautiful.
Long story short, my family and I go to Newberry Street every New Year's Eve, and we just go around. 2016 New Year's, we went to the Prudential Center, and we went to the Barnes & Noble in there, and I saw this book while I was shopping for other books. The cover just drew me the heck in. I really wanted to get it, but I didn't have enough money, so I was like, I'm gonna remember this. I will remember this book. I wanted it for literally exactly a year, because January of 2018, I went and I got this book at Barnes & Noble. I remembered it, and I remembered the cover because the cover was so intriguing to me, and I really wanted to read it. So let's read the back. They said the asteroid would be here in 2 months. That gave us 2 months to leave our labels behind, 2 months to become something bigger than what we'd been. something that would last even after the end. 2 months to really live. So this book, you're getting, I think about 5 or 6 different points of views. It switches points of views, which is very interesting, and you get to see kind of into the character's life, but it also develops the other characters within those points of view. It's a book about the apocalypse, I guess, or the world ending, rather. Same thing, I guess. But anyway, it's a book about that, and you would expect it to be a little bit, like, pretentious or whatever, and it's really not. It's kind of just teen fiction mixed in with the world ending, so, you know, how delightful. But it does focus on, like, regular teenage struggles, and doesn't just hone in on the fact that the world is ending. It kind of mixes those struggles in, which I really like about the book. The dialogue is realistic, you know, everything that, I feel like most of the things that are in the book are realistic and things that teenagers nowadays do and all that good stuff. I think it's because the author himself is pretty young. I really appreciate a teen fiction book that actually sounds like something a teenager would say, or as dialogue that sounds like something a teenager would say, or a plot that includes something a teenager would do. Because what's the point in writing teen fiction if you can't even get it right? And this book got it right. So congrats. And last but not least is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of this book by now. Look at the cover. Let's just focus on that. Look at that. This is the kind of book that should be read in schools. And it wouldn't be like this boring, like, oh my god, we have to read, like, Tale of Two Cities, which is such a boring book to me, I'm sorry. But it's like, oh my god, this is real, and this is, like, this is very accurate, you know? It's very present, and it's another realistic depiction of teenagerhood and, you know, teen life. So, let's read the front.
16-year-old Star Carter moves between two worlds, the poor black neighborhood where she lives and the fancy suburban prep school she attends. The uneasy balance between these worlds is shattered when Star witnesses the fatal shooting of her childhood best friend, Khalil, at the hands of a police officer. Khalil was unarmed. Soon after, Khalil's death is a national headline. Some are calling him a thug, maybe even a drug dealer and a gangbanger. Star's best friend at school suggests he may have had it coming. When it becomes clear the police have little interest in investigating the incident, protesters take to the streets and Star neighborhood becomes a war zone. What everybody wants to know is, what really went down that night? And the only person alive who can answer that is Star. But what Star does, or does not say, could destroy her community. It could also endanger her life. Angie Thomas's searing debut about an ordinary girl in extraordinary circumstances addresses issues of racism and political violence with intelligence, heart, and unflinching honesty.
Accurate. So, you really get into this book. Anyone of any, like, race or ethnicity can actually relate to this book because it does show the many points of view when it comes to police brutality, you know, the radical point of view, the yet coming point of view, all those different opinions that people have when it comes to that kind of thing. Very realistic dialogue and stuff. It sounds like something that I would say, and the conversations that my friends have and whatnot, which is why I think it should be read in schools, because it is very current and it focuses on current issues like Black Lives Matter and police brutality. People need to be educated on that stuff, but not everyone will be enthralled to read it unless it is written in the way that this is written. And I think that teenagers would actually enjoy reading this book because there have been summer books kind of like this one that people enjoyed reading, and it's better than giving us, like, you know, repetitive Shakespeare, even though I do enjoy Shakespeare. That's not everybody's cup of tea. It's very old and not always current. And we want something that's current because we are trying to adjust ourselves to these times in society, and this book does exactly that. And also look at the back, like, isn't that amazing? That is just amazing. I love it. Perfect book to read in school. And not just that, it's just, I don't know, it's just a very endearing book and I really enjoyed it. Reading it, I relate to the other characters, including Star and all that. I just relate to other characters, and it's important to be able to relate to something, especially in this day and time, this day and age. So this book is kind of perfect for that kind of thing. So give it a read. My aunt gave me this for Christmas. I'm glad she did. This book, guys, this book. So those are all the books that I read in March, and it is now April 1st. Happy Easter. Happy April Fool's Day. Oh my god. I love when my books fall. That's basically it, and thank you for watching. I will see you next video. Maybe I'll do another book corner. Maybe I'll do something else. I don't know. It's gonna be a mix, okay? Alright. Bye!